In this video we'll be going over the continuation of the C# video tutorials. So we'll be continuing with the string and character methods. So in the last video we went over just up to char.is letter or digit. So we'll be continuing here with is lower. So for example here we'll say we'll have a string here at the top. So we'll say str points to, for example, fruits. We'll say that if char.is lower and passed in a string index of, for example, str of array index 0. Sorry, not array, string index 0. So here we'll say, so we'll just change this if block here. So we'll say if char.is lower. So it's the same method in Java, except I believe it's the first letter is capital. So for example, char.is lower, and then here we'll pass str of string index 0. And here we'll have a message box, and we'll show, for example, character 0 is, and then we'll concatenate it to. Actually, we'll just have to change this a bit here. So here we'll say character 0 is, then we'll close the string, we'll concatenate it to lowercase. Sorry, the string lowercase here. Okay, so it's going to show us, so the char.is lower method is going to pass in a string index. So we're passing in string index of index 0. So that's going to check F, and it's going to tell us that if it is lowercase. So let me just run it, and we'll see what the output is. In the next method call here, we'll be passing 2 parameters here instead of 1. So we'll be passing in a string and an index. So it says, so the output was, oh, I think I spelled character wrong, so it says character 0 is lowercase. My bad about that, so we should have just had ch. So yeah, so it would have told us character 0 is lowercase, because of course that F here is in string index 0, it's lowercase. So for the next version of this method, we can pass 2 parameters here instead of 1. So here we can say, for example, that we're going to pass str, and then so we're going to pass a string, and then we're going to pass, so we're passing the string str here, and then we're also passing an index. So there's 2 ways to do it, so this is the second way. It should give us the same answer as well from before. Is that still running here? No. Okay, so it told us the exact same thing. So it says that character 0 is lowercase. Sorry, you guys can't see that because it popped up in an extra window. So the next one here that we'll have, for example, is that we can change character.is punctuation. So we can test this here. We can say, for example, char.is punctuation. Actually, sorry, the first letter should also be capital. So here we'll say is punctuation. Punctuation. So is punctuation, and here we'll pass in a string index. So we'll say str of string index, for example, 2. So if char.is punctuation, it'll show us the string index of 2. So 0, 1, 2. So that should be a U. So it should tell us if it's punctuation or not. So instead here we could change the string we could just change this to, for example, we could just change this to true, instead of just telling us if it is or not. So we'll just run that and I'll tell you guys what the output is. It shouldn't tell us anything. So no message box should actually pop up, so that's correct. The reason why the message box did not pop up, because I believe this method is a boolean. Punctuation is a boolean function, so it returns true or false. But in this case, it can be used to check a condition. In this case, 0, 1, 2 is U, so that index of the string is not a punctuation. So a punctuation could be like, I believe, like a single quote, a double quote. You could have perhaps like a period, a comma, or something like that. Something used in punctuation in English, so that's what it would be. So there's an overloaded version of this as well, so we could just pass in here, for example, str and 0. Excuse me. So once again, it didn't have any output at all. So now we can check if it's upper. So here we can say if char dot is upper. And we can pass in a string index, so we can say str of string index 0. We could just we could just output true as well. So nothing happened there. So let's just try something else here. So we could say, for example, here, we could say else. Okay, so we could open up an else block here, and then we could say message box dot show. We could say false. So we could pass in the string false here to tell the user that it was false. So so in this case, if char dot is upper, so if f is an uppercase character, it'll print true. If it's not, it should print false. So let's just try that. Okay, so it told us that it was false. So for the next one we have is upper. We can overload this as well, so we can pass here, for example, once again as a string and a whoops. We can pass a string and we can pass an index. So if I run it, it should tell us the exact same thing. So it told us false. So for the next one we have, what else do we have here? So if character dot is white space. Let me just see, sorry, how many more we have here. How many more do we have? Okay, so let's see. One more. That's it. Okay. So we have one more and a lab. How many minutes is this video? 9 minutes. Okay, so let's just finish up with this one. So we just did is upper. So now we have is white space. So for example, we can pass here. So we can take this condition out, and then we can say, for example, so we can create a string here, and then we can basically fill that string with just empty spaces. Say 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, for example. So just an empty string full of spaces. Is that actually going to work here? So we'll just take that out. We'll take that out. That should be fine. So then here we can say, for example, so string str is just some white space here, and then we can say, for example, if char dot is white space, so we can say if actually no, that's correct. So we're gonna have to call the actual class char, and then here so char dot is white space here, and then we can also pass in a string index, so we'll pass in str of string index 0. Then here we can have the message box.show again. Message box.show, we can show true. Otherwise we can show, for example, false in a message box. Alright, so what's happening there? Whoops, I forgot message box.show. Alright, so I'll just tell you guys the answer to that. Okay, so it told us that it was true. Of course, because we have just on all indexes here, which to know how many indexes are in here, you just start at the beginning, move right with your keyboard. So we have four spaces, or you could have, actually no, hitting the space bar would just add more spaces. So use the arrow keys. So index 0, we have a white space, so there's how many indexes do we have? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, sorry, 3. So we have 4 spaces, because remember you have to start, to count the first index, you have to start at the end of the first character in the string. So pretty much, like for example, if we have like string here, the string, you don't count the first index until you get to the end of the first character. So it's not before the S, it's going to be after the S. If you can see the focus, it's blinking, like where the mouse focuses. So if we go on the left of the S, it doesn't count the index. This is basically, it's like no man's land. So pretty much it's not an index yet. So we have to go 1 to the right there. So then here we have index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's the same as an array. So in this case, if we have, for example, just like 4 spaces, 1 space, 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, then you have to go to the left of the first space is no man's land. And I'm going to tap right on the right arrow keys, so that's going to be index 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. So I moved right on the arrow keys. So in that case, there's just all white space. So we have the message box showed us true. There's also an overloaded version of this as well, so we can pass in an str and an index. So just a string and an index. So here we can say, for example, str and index 0. And then we can just run this. So it should just show us the same thing. Yeah, so the answer was true again. So that's pretty much it for the first, actually sorry, this is the second. I'm just going to see if I think that's pretty much, actually there might be a few more methods, but we have a lab kind of doing like a password thing to check a password. So then we have, after that we have some more methods to do. So there's going to be just pretty much what we just did, but more methods. So thanks for watching, guys. If you guys liked the video, you can like and subscribe to support the channel for more programming and investing tutorials. In the next video, we'll be doing a lab with a graphical user interface. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll see you guys there, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.